what's happening around the world and what's happening here at home.
A very good Wednesday evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1, bringing you the news. I'm Mariam Gunavijaya.
And I'm Sandra Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Harupena discounts of up to 30% off on frames and sunglasses from Vikramarchi Opticians.
Who is supplying Sri Lankan youth to terrorists operating in Myanmar? Over 2,200 suspects arrested in 24 hours as Yuktiya operation cracks down on drugs and the underworld. PASL and Columbo High Court lawyers condemn the statement by the Public Security Minister on lawyers. Mahinda Rajapaksa says, though the SLPP is part of the government, the head of state is following a different policy. Is Dhammika Pereira the SLPP's next presidential candidate?
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Harupena discounts of up to 30% off on frames and sunglasses from Vikramarchi Opticians.
First up in news here at home, former president and leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Mahinda Rajapaksa, said that the SLPP which he leads is a part of the government.
However, Rajapaksa said that the present head of the government and the head of state is a leader of a different political party with different policies. Mahinda Rajapaksa made these remarks in a statement titled "Reducing the Tax Burden."
Former President and leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Mahinda Rajapaksa, issued a statement citing several points. Mahinda Rajapaksa said that at this moment, the primary duty of the SLPP is to ensure a stable government until the next national elections, and the call to reduce taxes is based on solid economic principles. Rajapaksa pointed out that around 40 professional associations and trade unions representing vital sectors of the economy and the public services have been agitating a reduction in income taxes for many months. He also said that the high tax burden has precipitated an exodus of educated and highly trained professionals from the country, giving a rise to a new crisis. Mahinda Rajapaksa went on to note that following increases in the VAT through the budget for 2024, tax policy is set to become a major political issue in 2024. Mahinda Rajapaksa went on to note that low taxes was a cornerstone of his government's policy, and it made a major contribution to the unbroken 9-year economic boom that this country experienced between 2006 and 2014. The former president noted that when he was voted out in January 2015, the outstanding international sovereign bond debt was only $5,000 million. He said that over the past several years, there have been well-funded propaganda campaigns promoting a headlong and mindless opposition to everything even remotely associated with the name Rajapaksa, including the low tax policy. He added that in order to blacken the very concept of low taxes, some even claimed that the Rajapaksa-led governments reduced taxes to help cronies, and that is an outright lie. He said that the tax exemptions can be granted only to attract investors for specified projects. The former president said that in future, every member of the public should pay special attention to the tax policy and the past economic practices of the political party they vote for. He said that as elections draw closer, once again we see attempts to hustle people blindly and unthinkingly in various directions through ramped up propaganda and social media hysteria. Rajapaksa noted that whatever decision the people make at the next elections should be based on rational thinking, proper facts and correct data.
Whispers of potential successors are rippling through the political landscape as the 2024 presidential election draws closer. The SLPP said that the party has 4 contenders for the top seat, and among them is businessman MP Dhammika Pereira.
Presidential battle.
Sagaru Karyavasam, the General Secretary of the SLPP, attended the press conference held at the SLPP headquarters, where the media asked him about the next presidential candidate.
ඇතැම් වෙබ් අඩවි සහ සමාජ මාධ්‍යවල වාර්තා පළ වෙලා තිබුණා ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොදු ජන පෙරමුණේ මීළඟ ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා ධම්මික පෙරේරා මහත්මයා කියලා.
ඔබ ඔය කියපු කාරණේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මට ඒක සත්‍යයි කියන්නත් බෑ.
I can neither confirm nor deny that statement. The reason being that our party has still not reached a decision as to who would be the next presidential candidate. But whoever we choose as our next representative will be one who can build a better future for this country as well as a strong individual who can take this country forward. And when the party comes to the final decision, we will inform the media. But until then, all I can say is we remain undecided.
එතකල් ඔය කාරණේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මට කියන්නේ පක්ෂය තාම තීන්දුව කර නැත.
ධම්මික පෙරේරා මහත්මයා වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක නේද? වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියන එකනේ ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ.
පැහැදිලිව කියන්නේ අපිට අපේක්ෂකයෝ 3 දෙනෙක් එහෙම නැත්නම් 4 දෙනෙක් මේ අවස්ථාවේ.
We can clearly say that we are considering 3 or 4 candidates at this time. Dhammika Perera is definitely one of those candidates. We will present the best candidate who can win at the right time as the election draws closer.
ජයග්‍රහණය කරන්න පුළුවන් හොඳම අපේක්ෂකයා තමයි අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ.
Presidential battle.
The SJB commented on the same matter.
Our party leader is our presidential candidate. We won't be presenting anyone from any other party. Our leader, Sajith Premadasa, is recognized anywhere and he will be our candidate. And that is our policy.
2,296 suspects were arrested in the 24-hour window that ended at 12:30 a.m. today during the island-wide operation Yuktiya.
Police said that 109 suspects are being interrogated. 184 of the suspects have been directed to rehabilitation centres. Police also recovered heroin, ice, mava, Kerala ganja, hashish, kush and pills during the operations. During the past 24 hours, majority of the drugs recovered were mava. That was 46 kilograms. Majority of the arrests were made from the Western Province and that number stands at 953. 5 suspects were arrested from the Blue Mandal Police Division during yesterday's operations. A stock of heroin and ice were also recovered from the suspects' possession. Twenty-one suspects were arrested during an operation in the Maradana Police Division. A special operation was carried out near the schools in the Kochikade Police Division. 19 suspects were arrested along with 200 grams of heroin during the operation. Alubomulle Pinky and 4 other suspects linked to a drug cartel between Qatar and Sri Lanka were arrested during the operations as well. The suspects were residents of Alubomulle, Bellana, Bandaragama and Rambukana. The suspects have been handed over to the Police Narcotics Bureau for further investigations. The Criminal Investigation Department arrested 3 suspects along with narcotics worth 26 million rupees from Kegol. They were residents of Potuhara and Kegol.
We are taking action against the suspects arrested yesterday. We are waiting for court orders to be issued against those suspects. We have recovered over 4 kilograms of heroin and over 2 kilograms of ice during these island-wide operations. Over 200,000 cannabis plants were also seized.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka issued a statement on a recent comment made by Minister of Public Security Tirunellis over the appointment of the acting IGP.
The BASL condemned the statement where the Public Security Minister purportedly alleged that lawyers who oppose the appointment of the acting IGP are appearing in court for drug traffickers.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka issued a strong statement criticising recent comments by the Minister of Public Security and calling for stringent ethical standards in the selection of the next Inspector General of Police. The BASL condemned the Minister's alleged remarks linking lawyers who opposed the acting IGP's appointment to drug traffickers. The BASL emphasised the right to legal representation as a cornerstone of the rule of law and said that threats against lawyers are attacks on the entire legal profession. The statement highlighted the declining public trust in the Sri Lankan police due to issues like lack of independence, political interference, police brutality and custodial deaths. The BSL emphasised the importance of restoring public confidence for effective law enforcement and upholding the rule of law. The BSL unequivocally condemned encounter killings and custodial deaths, calling them violations of the rule of law and fundamental rights. The BASL urged the authorities to appoint the next IGP based on exemplary service, free of any blemish and the ability to restore public confidence. The BASL statement draws attention to a landmark Supreme Court decision delivered on the 14th of December. The judgment, led by Justice S. Raja alongside Justices Kumudini Vikramasinghe and Priyantha Fernando, ordered the acting IGP and 3 other officers to personally compensate a petitioner whose fundamental rights were violated while detained at the Mirihana police station under the acting IGP's supervision. The Bar Association categorically urges the authorities to disqualify any candidate for the IGP position who has a history of violating fundamental rights or is facing criminal charges or allegations of unlawful activity. The Bar Association called for transparency in the IGP appointment process, urging the government to follow procedures established by the Constitutional Council as per Article 41E of the Constitution. The Columbo High Court Lawyers Association, or the CHCLA, accused the Minister of Public Security Tirunallis of undermining the role of defence lawyers and the integrity of the judiciary in a recent public statement. The CHCLA vehemently asserts that the defence of suspects, regardless of the charges, is a fundamental constitutional right enshrined in Article 13, guaranteeing due process. The CHCLA argues that the minister's statement unfairly targets defence lawyers, attributing their efforts to defend clients to personal failings rather than upholding their professional duty. They point out that criticising lawyers while overlooking systematic issues within the police department, including accusations of corruption, is disingenuous and undermines the integrity of the legal system as a whole. The statement strongly defends the independence and impartiality of judges, highlighting their dedication to upholding the law and delivering justice without fear or favour. The Colombo High Court Lawyers Association urges the minister to refrain from making any statements that hinder the legal profession's ability to fulfil its duties as enshrined in the Constitution. The Colombo High Court Lawyers Association emphasises the importance of upholding the values of justice, fairness and the rule of law, and warns that obstructing the work of legal professionals can destabilise the very foundation of a democratic society.
President's Counsel Salia Piris commented on the matter.
In his comments, he tried to encourage the police to engage in illegal killings. He spoke about encounter killings. The police officers must bear in mind that they should not obey all illegal orders. One day, when legal action is taken against them, those senior ranks and politicians will not come to protect them. It is not right to blame the lawyers. Why are they targeting the lawyers? Those who threaten democracy are aware that the legal fraternity is engaged in a vital role to protect democracy in the country. That is why they target the legal community.
Investigations are still ongoing regarding the purchase of the human immunoglobulin drug.
Although 6 people, including the former secretary to the Ministry of Health, have been arrested over the incident, many factions have called for the mastermind behind the incident should be apprehended.
Recently, a stock of human immunoglobulin, which is widely used for serious neuro patients, was purchased from a local company called Isolest Biotech Pharma. Of 3,985 vaccine vials purchased, 2,985 were administered to patients. The company has not received approval to manufacture the medicine. It was revealed that the letter which granted approval for the drug to be supplied to the Ministry of Health without registration was also forged. Former Health Minister Kehelia Rambukwala said The vials did not in fact contain human immunoglobulin and contained saline or a similar solution. The Criminal Investigation Department recorded statements from the Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Saman Ratnayaka, today as well, and inspected the files in his office for the second consecutive day. Today, many factions called for the masterminds behind this to be investigated. The Government Medical Officers Association expressed these views regarding the matter.
We didn't say anything about a mastermind. It was the attorney of the company in question which made that statement in open court. The investigative teams have failed to recall statements from those facing charges or the lawyers and to reveal the mastermind. We need to clarify if it was the former minister or whether it is another cabinet minister or parliamentarian. We cannot move forward with these concerns.
හිටපු ඇමතිවරයාද නැත්තම් වෙන කෙනෙක්ද කැබිනට් එකේ දෙයා ඉන්නේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ දෙයා ඉන්නේ ඒවා නිර්වෝල් විය යුතු දේවල් මේ සැක සංකා එක්ක ඉස්සරහට යන්න බෑ.
The All Ceylon Medical Officers Association also expressed views in this regard.
සමාගමට මිලියන 144ක මුදලක් හෝ ආසන්න මුදලක් සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් ගෙවලා තියෙනවා මේ ඖෂධ දෙකක් සඳහා.
The Health Ministry has paid 144 million or a similar amount to the company for these two drugs and made an additional payment for 7 other drugs. We call such companies ghost companies. This is not the real company the trade is done by. Another racket is operating behind it. According to the representatives of the relevant company, the health minister was behind the corrupt deal. So why is the minister not arrested?
ඊපස්සේ ඉන්නවා කියන එක කරුණු ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා තිබෙනවා. එහෙනම් අපිට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි එහෙම ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා තියෙද්දි ඇමතිවරයා අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න නැත්තේ ඇයි?
Dr. Chamal Sanjeeva also expressed views in this regard today.
The Attorney General's Department requested the CID to arrest the masterminds, other state officials and the remaining persons involved in the transaction of these 9 drugs based on the confirmed evidence and confessions by the suspects without any influence and take legal action.
අවශේෂ පුද්ගලයන් හා මුදල් ගනුදෙනු කළ පුද්ගලයන්ව අත්අඩංගුවට ගෙන නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න කියලා.
Views were also expressed at a media briefing convened by Sri Lanka Police today.
නෑ මෙතෙක් එවැනි බලපෑමක් කිසිම ආකාරයකට ලැබිලා නෑ මේ මෙහිදී මේ
No, there is no such influence. There are only rumors of a mastermind. We only have suspects. After the evidence is confirmed, the relevant suspects will be arrested.
රුවන් සාක්ෂි තහවුරු වීමෙන් පසුව අදාළ සැකකරුවන් අපි අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම සිදු කරනවා.
මේ සිද්ධිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් හිටපු සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍ය කෙහෙලිය රඹුක්කල්ල මහතාගෙන් ප්‍රකාශයක් සටහන් කර ගැනීම සූදානමක් තිබෙනවා.
දැනට එවැනි සූදානමක් මා දන්න තරමින් නැහැ.
I have not been told that a statement will be recorded, but a statement may be recorded during investigations. Detectives will record statements from any individual if the need arises.
නෑම කෙනෙකුගෙන් ප්‍රකාශ සටහන් කිරීමට විමර්ශන නිලධාරීන් සිද්ධ වෙනවා.
Trade unions continued their strike against the privatization of Sri Lanka Telecom today as well.
A group of employees protested opposite the Sri Lanka Telecom branch of the northwestern province in Kurunegala this afternoon.
President Ranil Rajapaksa is selling SLT, which is a profit-making company, with the aim of destroying the company. As an attempt to sell state institutions, they are planning to sell them to India for cheap prices and expect to remain in power.
Another protest took place in Kandy today. This is the protest held in Trincomalee. The Mug and Brother organisation convening a media briefing discussed about the attempts to sell off Sri Lanka Telecom and Lanka hospitals.
ඊයේ දවසේදී විශේෂ පුද්ගලයෙක් හීත්‍රෝ ගුවන්තොටුපළෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට ආවා. ඔහු වෙන කවුරුවත් නෙමෙයි කුප්‍රකට.
A special person arrived in Sri Lanka from the Heathrow airport yesterday. He is none other than the infamous Subhaskaran Aliraja, the founder and chairman of Leica Mobile. At this moment, a group of actresses together with Ravi Karunanayaka and the president are behind this deal. If I am mentioning names, I would like to tell that actress Janaki Vijayratna is behind this. It is the HAIMS International Company that has expressed their interest in bidding for Subhaskaran Aliraja or has given the expression of interest. The expression of interest has already been given to sell off the Hilton and Lanka hospitals. The expression of interest to sell off Lanka hospitals is already given to HAIMS International Company with the approval of Subhaskaran Aliraja. Also, many other foreign companies are behind this conspiracy to steal state sector organizations and have also expressed their interest to buy these. At this time, when the SLT employees are on the roads protesting, they still don't know that the deal to sell off Sri Lanka Telecom is under discussion at a 5-star hotel in Columbo under the leadership of the Leica Mobile chairman, Subhaskiran Aliraja.
Aliraja Subhaskirange ප්‍රමුඛත්වයෙන් සිද්ධ වෙනවා කියලා.
Despite an email inquiry from Newsfirst regarding the recent allegation, Leica Mobile has not yet provided a response. Newsfirst is awaiting a response from Leica Mobile concerning the recent allegation raised against them.
The United National Postal Trade Union accused the government of selling state assets to foreign companies as a form of revenge on the people.
අපි දන්නවා මේ වෙනකොට ආණ්ඩුව පිඹුරුපත් සකස් කරලා තිනවා. තැපල් දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව විදියට ගත්තොත් තැපල් දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ පුරා වටිනාකමකින් යුත් ගොඩනැගිලි.
The government is attempting to sell property owned by the Department of Posts with historic value. Attempts are being made to sell 15 to 20% to the Bank of Ceylon and People's Bank, which contribute to the state income. Sri Lanka Telecom is earning profits and attempts are being made to sell it and Sri Lanka Insurance as well. The government is attempting to sell many institutions that are earning profits to earn the government revenue for 2024. The people of this country got rid of the previous government and president demanding that the stolen money be returned to the state. The sitting president is trying to take revenge from the people. There is no mention of the stolen money and they are trying to burden the people after they led the country to bankruptcy. We will respond to these efforts at future elections.
රට බංකොලොත් කිරීම මේ රටේ ජනතාවක පිටින් යවන තත්ත්වයකට පත් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා අපි ආණ්ඩුවට කියනවා ඉදිරියේදී එන මැතිවරණවලදී අපි ඒවට උත්තර දෙන්න ලෑස්ති කියලා.
During a media briefing held today, the Federation of National Organizations said basic plans are in place to sell water as well.
ජල සම්පත් කළමනාකරණ පනත කියන එකක් බෞද්ධ මාසිකෙ පිටිසලා කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලය අනුමත කරා.
The cabinet passed the water resource management bill a few months ago. Sri Lanka has the best water in the world. By selling water, they can earn a profit that is 3 times higher than the profit made by the medicine trade. 7 organizations have been established in 5 countries to sell water. Only 1 minister was appointed for this during Chandika's time. Ranil Wickremesinghe appointed 4 ministers to sell water. Then the opposition is divided. At the time, I carried out a massive campaign against these efforts because it would take away the people's ability to use water from rivers or underground water. Special approval will be needed to dig a well or to bathe in a river. If you want money and aid, sell water. If not, you will not get money. That is what the World Bank and IMF says. This is being done by a group that is worse than drug racketeers. Anuruddha Kumar Dissanayake used to be the irrigation minister, but Maithripala Sirisena was in charge of selling water. They tried to fool Anuruddha Kumar Dissanayake to do this. This bill says a house cannot be constructed without the approval of the water board and they can enter a residence at any given time with 1 hour's notice without police permission or a court order. If I allow my neighbor to take water from my tap, I am committing a punishable offence and must pay a fine of 10,000 rupees. Everything that was disregarded in the past is included in this. A water management authority and a water management secretariat will be established. They will sell water thereafter. That is the plan. We have a responsibility to stop this crime. The SLPP is also part of this.
Up next is Action TV.
The meeting mentioned on this letter issued by the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy dated 5th December 2023 took place on the 12th of December, headed by the Minister to consult selected parties on forming an electricity tariff setting mechanism and also to explore the possibility of reducing electricity tariffs. The parties invited for this consultation meeting included certain representatives of entities who had no connection to electricity tariffs or the setting of such tariffs. Disregarding the core matter of consulting the parties present at the meeting, the Minister justified the dual revision of electricity tariffs this year.
We thank you all for being here today. If there are any flaws, please do point them out. Provide your recommendations on how we can rectify those.
However, no one present at the meeting was motivated to rectify the flaws even after the Minister's request.
We had to implement a cost-reflective strategy. Even unwilling, in January, we presented this with the support of the PUCSL. And on the 15th of February this year, we were able to present a cost-reflective tariff.
This statement by the Minister is one that misleads the people. It is so because this isn't a strategy formulated by neither the current minister nor the incumbent government, but one that is stated on Section 30 of Sri Lanka's Electricity Act. Moreover, the price revision of 66% for electricity done in February was not in line with the cost-reflective methodology. Though the PUCSL itself, through a board paper, announced that a 35% tariff increase would suffice for it to be cost-reflective, it was disregarded. The 66% revision was not done to introduce a cost-reflective method, but was done merely to appease the CEB. This is how the minister went on to justify the price hike of electricity tariffs by a further 18% from October this year.
ඔක්තෝබර් මාසෙ වන විට දැඩි අලාභයක් විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයට සිදු වෙයි කියන පුරෝකථනය මත ඉඳගෙන තමයි ඔක්තෝබර් මාසෙ
A sudden amendment was made based on the premise that the CEB would suffer severe losses from October. What the Department of Meteorology announced was that there will be a drought till October. A flood situation will occur in October and thereafter rains will recede. It also said that there will be a drought during the first 3 months of 2024 as well. But those forecasts have changed. Although it was forecast that Sri Lanka will not experience rain after the 15th of November, we experienced the highest rainfall on that day.
අපිට නොවැම්බර් මාසේ 15 වෙනිදාන් පස්සේ වැසි ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා කිව්වට පස්සේ 15 වෙනිදා තමයි වැඩිම වර්ෂාපතනය අපේ රටට ලැබුණේ දිනයක් හැටියට.
If that is in fact the truth, it gives rise to the question of whether the forecasts of the Department of Meteorology are credible at all. Who was behind these distorted forecasts, throwing the people and the country into another abyss? More revelations will follow on Action TV.
Newsfirst with the people.
The Myanmar government has expressed its willingness to negotiate with the terrorist group to secure the release of 56 Sri Lankan citizens who are being held hostage, an incident which can be termed as Sri Lanka's modern-day slavery nightmare.
The announcement came after a meeting between Myanmar's Home Affairs Minister and the Sri Lankan Ambassador to Myanmar, Janaka Bandara.
Over the past 2 days, Newsfirst highlighted the plight of 56 Sri Lankan youth trapped in a cybercrime camp located along the Myanmar-Thailand border and controlled by a terrorist group. This remote jungle outpost, 25 kilometers from Myaveddi city in Myanmar, sits under the complete control of a terrorist group, and the Sri Lankan mission over there has to make great efforts to secure the release of the detained Sri Lankans. Ambassador Janaka Bandara, Sri Lanka's envoy to Myanmar, confirmed that he had already met and discussed the situation with multiple factions from the Myanmar military junta. Young men and women from a series of countries in Asia, including India, have fallen prey to this scam and have been working as cyber slaves under the grip of the terror group. It was reported that several countries mounted military operations in the region to secure the release of their citizens. 5 young Sri Lankan nationals successfully exfiltrated from Myanmar last month with the assistance of the ICRC and the Sri Lankan embassy in Myanmar after attacking a driver affiliated with a terrorist group. Previously, the Sri Lankan embassy in Myanmar played a key role in the safe evacuation of 37 Sri Lankan nationals from the region, and this was confirmed by the ambassador. Ambassador Janaka Bandara stated that embassy assigned vehicles and residences were utilized to ensure the secure and discreet movement of Sri Lankan citizens out of the area. Newsfirst's prior report detailed the alleged involvement of 2 individuals in facilitating the travel of Sri Lankan youths to Thailand under tourist visas, followed by their purported sale to a terrorist organization for $5,000.
සසී කියන පුද්ගලයා මේ ගම්පහ ප්‍රදේශයේ ජීවත් වෙන්නේ. ප්‍රභාත් කියන එක්කෙනා අරණගංවිල. එයා දැන් ඉන්නේ බැංකොක්වල. එයා තමයි හින්දන් අපි මෙහෙන් ගන්න වැඩ ඔක්කොම කරන්නේ. අපි එක්කෙනෙක්ව ගන්න එයා ලක්ෂ 4.5ක මුදලක් ගත්තා. කොහමරි අපි එහෙ ගියාට පස්සේ තමයි දැනගත්තේ අපි එක්කෙනෙක් එහෙට ගෙන්න ගන්නවට ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඩොලර් 5000ක මුදලක් ගෙවනවා කියලා. තව වෙනකන් එයාට කිසිම මේකක් නැහැ. අපි ලංකාවේ තියෙන ආරක්ෂක අංශවලට දැනුවත් කළා තාම අපිට කිසිම මේකක් හම්බෙලා නැහැ. ඒ පුජ්‍යලා තවත් කට්ටියව රට යවනවා. ඇත්තටම මේක මිනිස් ජාවාරම ඔගොල්ලෝ විසිට් වීසා වලට මේ වගේ සුරංගනා කතා වලට අහුවෙලා යන්න එපා රට.
Newsfirst contacted the person named Shashika who faces these allegations, and this was his response.
අර ඉරුලපන මේක නීතිමය කටයුත්තක් යනත් නිසා මට මේක මේ ඔබතුමාලා අහන්න ඇත්තටම මම මේ ඒකලොංගුත් ඇහුවා. උත්තර දෙන්න එපා කියලා කිව්වා මාධ්‍යයට.
කවුද ඔබතුමාට උත්තර දෙන්න එපා කියලා කිව්වේ?
ඒක මට නම් ගම් කියන සඳහන් කරන්න බෑ. මොකද
මොකක් හරි ආයතනයක්ද කවුද ඔබතුමාට උත්තර දෙන්න එපා කියලා කිව්වේ?
නෑ මේම ආයතනයකින් නෙමෙයි මට ඒක ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කියන්න බෑ.
මේ අපිට ප්‍රකාශ කරන කට්ටිය ඔබතුමාගේ නම කියනවා අශික කියලා. දැන් ඔබතුමා තමයි මේ වංචාව කරේ කියලා.
දැන් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ගිය දවසේ ලංකාවට ආපු දවස් තියෙනවනේ. ඒකට නීතිමය වශයෙන් එයාට මට විරුද්ධව මාව නීතියෙන් වැඩිකාරයෙක් දැන්ටත් වෙලා නෑනේ. ඒතකොට අර ප්‍රභාත් කියන පුද්ගලයාගෙන් ඒ තමයි සල්ලි අරන් තියෙන ඔය සම්බන්ධ.
ඔබතුමාගේ account එකට සල්ලි දාලා තියෙන ලක්ෂ 3මාර ගන්න මේ ලංකාවෙන් ගිය මිනිස්සු.
නෑ මගේ account එක දැම්මම තියෙන කෙනා ප්‍රූෆ් කරන්න කියන්නකො. ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ඒ දාපු account number වල receipt ඉල්ල ගන්නකො.
අපිට receipt එවලා තියෙනවා. ඒක ඔබතුමාගේ account number ගන්න තියෙන්නේ.
ඔව් එතකොට ඒවා ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න කියන්නේ
මහා ජරා වැඩක් ඔබතුමා කරලා තියෙන්නේ කියන්නේ දැන් ලංකාවේ ඔබතුමා විකුණලා තියෙනවා අපේ කොල්ලකට.
අදාළ පුද්ගල ඉන්නවා. ඒ කරුණු කාරණා නීතිමය වශයෙන් පැහැදිලි කරා.
ඉතින් මිනිස්සු කියන්නේ මේ මිනිස්සු
Prompted by the Sri Lankan Embassy's intervention, a coordinated investigation involving multiple agencies has been launched into the alleged exploitation of young people.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadas advocated for the implementation of measures to promote the growth and competitiveness of Sri Lankan industries, recognizing their vital contribution to the country's economic well-being.
Sri Lanka's micro, small and medium industries are facing significant hardships due to the imminent asset forfeiture provisions of the Parate law. This has impacted thousands of businesses and their employees. The scope of the Parate law has expanded to third parties following a court ruling. In this situation, the industrial sector is facing serious challenges. To mitigate the crisis, the government should consider implementing the necessary measures. MSMEs play a crucial role in Sri Lanka's economy, contributing over 50% to the GDP. If these industries collapse, the entire country's economy would shrink instead of developing.
අපේ රටේ ආර්ථිකය වර්ධනය වෙනවා වෙනුවට අපේ රටේ ආර්ථිකය සංකෝචනය වෙනවා.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the government is actively engaged in trade agreements with nations like India, China, Singapore and Thailand. He said the goal is to explore opportunities for growth and deepen trade relations with the European Union.
We have to look at economic growth. We are now, I think this is the only way Sri Lanka is going to have growth. So firstly, we have to have a very competitive economy and we have to reach out. This is why we are having trade agreements. We've even applied to join RCEP. We're having trade agreements we are negotiating with India, China. We've finished with Singapore. We are about to conclude with Thailand. We'll have to go back to EU to deepen our trade relations. Secondly, it has to be digitalized. And I'm forming the Digital Transformation Agency to handle it, together with a Center for Research on AI. We also have to comply now with the requirements of the Net Zero Plan and the green economy. So we have to be a green economy. Finally, we have to go for growth.
In more local developments, the World Bank has released $250 million to Sri Lanka to sustain economic reforms.
The World Bank has released the second tranche of a $500 million loan to Sri Lanka, recognizing the government's ongoing commitment to economic reforms. This $250 million boost comes through the Sri Lanka Resilience, Stability and Economic Turnaround Development Policy Operation, designed to stabilize the economy and pave the way for private sector-led growth. The reset DPO was approved in June 2023 and dispersed in stages based on specific reform milestones. Faris H. Haddadzavos, World Bank Country Director for Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka said that continued momentum on economic and structural reforms is critical not only to stabilize the economy but also to unleash its potential for private sector-led growth and transformation. The first tranche of the reset DPO for $250 million was released in June 2023 upon the completion of 7 reform prior actions across 3 pillars: economic governance, growth and competitiveness, and protecting the poor and vulnerable.
A promising World Bank initiative aimed at bolstering Sri Lankan agriculture has soared, with over 21 tons of donated seed potatoes left to rot in a warehouse. As investigation unfolds, one crucial question looms: who will shoulder the blame for this lost harvest opportunity?
Over 21 metric tons of World Bank donated seed potatoes financed through a credit agreement worth approximately 13 million rupees have spoiled in a warehouse. The seed tubers, intended to boost potato production under the World Bank's Modern Agricultural Development Program, arrived at the Coupland storehouse in Udu Jaffna on the 17th of November. Scheduled for distribution to farmers on the 1st of December, these spuds represented a potential lifeline for communities facing economic hardship. However, last Sunday, news broke of the potatoes' deplorable state, rendering them unusable. What does the National Plant Quarantine Service have to say? Pre-import inspection procedures implemented by the National Plant Quarantine Service have come under scrutiny. According to the Deputy Director of NPQS, the Australian batch of seed potatoes underwent thorough examination before entering the country. No signs of blight, a harmful plant disease, were detected during this pre-import inspection. This raises concerns about how the spoilage reportedly discovered in a Jaffna warehouse could have occurred despite passing initial clearance. The Deputy Director also clarified that his responsibility solely revolves around ensuring no harmful pathogens or bacteria accompany imported seeds.
This was the situation of the Agricultural Department of the Northern Province.
V. Vijaydaran, Deputy Director for the Department of Agriculture's Modernisation Project in the Northern Province, confirmed that the seed potatoes should have been transferred to the authority on the 1st of December. However, he stated that he had not received any official documentation regarding the shipment and only learned of the situation after visiting the storage facility upon receiving a phone call.
This was the situation of the Agricultural Department in Columbo.
Rohan Vijay Kohan, Project Director for the Department of Agriculture's Modernisation Project in Colombo, believes lengthy storage at the Jaffna warehouse may have played a role in the spoilage. Compounding the situation, Vijay Kohan revealed that the warehouse was previously notified about a small amount of geotrichum present. This fungal microorganism, common in Sri Lanka, could have contributed to the potatoes' deterioration, especially under potentially unfavourable storage conditions. This is the position of the World Bank. The World Bank office in Sri Lanka thanked Newsfirst for bringing this issue to their attention. The World Bank said that it is following up with the relevant project staff. Who is responsible for not being able to secure at least 20.75 metric tons of seed potatoes that were available when there was already a need for 325 metric tons of seed potatoes?
Gypsies live in concert with Sirasa TV, where music meets the spirit of the season. Christmas with Gypsies. Back after 25 years to Vihara Mahadevi Open Air. Sirasa Flashtown 23 Gypsies live in concert. Featuring BNS, Hana and Nadima. Get your tickets now. Media sponsors Sirasa TV and TV1.
Welcome back. The University of Colombo held its Doctor of Business Administration or DBA Fellowship 2023 in Colombo, setting the tone for future progression and laying the base for establishing a DBA Alumni and Student Association. The event was organized by the Faculty of Management and Finance, with alumni, dignitaries and guests gracing the event.
DBA Fellowship 2023 was a celebration of intellectual pursuit, a gathering of minds yearning to push boundaries and redefine the very meaning of business leadership. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo addressed the gathering on the special achievements of the faculty as well as the university and its progression throughout the years.
In the University of Colombo, we have 138 PhD programs. You are one of that. And 128 master's programs. We have over 12,000 postgraduate students. So University of Colombo is the only university represents the 47% of postgraduate students in Sri Lankan university system. Not only that, in this year is remarkable for the University of Colombo due to various reasons. The number one, according to the all three ranking indices, the Webometric ranking, QS ranking, and the Times Impact ranking, University of Colombo became the number one. We have about 883 academic staff members in the University of Colombo. Our progress is due to the commitment and dedication of this 883 academics in the University of Colombo. So the University Business Linkage unit got IP rights, patent rights. We have got 3 international patents in the University of Colombo and 17 local patents.
The DBA program at the University of Colombo was started in 2019 and the first batch will be convocated in January 2024. This event was also an opportunity to share the joy of their success with DBA course facilitators, research supervisors and fellow students from all batches.
I've had this idea for a few years now to go on a quest to try and discover who he was.
Why did you have to go for something like this?
I want them to see this film and say, oh my God, this country is beautiful.
Was there a motive behind this whole documentary to promote tourism?
It was an unintended consequence, I'd say, Maria. And so when I started this film, I had an idea of a story. But when I ended it, I had a whole different understanding of who he was.
20 years later, we are still finding every opportunity to honor the genius of the place.
Newsfirst exclusive with writer and director of The Genius of the Place of the Laziz. 5th of January 2024 from 9:30 p.m. onwards on TV1. Streaming live on Newsfirst YouTube and Facebook channels.
Colorado's Supreme Court has ruled that former United States President Donald Trump is ineligible to run for the White House because of his role in the 2021 assault on the Capitol by his supporters and should be removed from the state's primary ballot.
Former President Donald Trump is disqualified from serving as US President and cannot appear on the primary ballot in Colorado because of his role in the January 6, 2021 attack on the US Capitol by his supporters. The historic 4-3 ruling by the Colorado Supreme Court, likely to be taken up by the US Supreme Court, makes Trump the first presidential candidate deemed ineligible for the White House under a rarely used constitutional provision that bars officials who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion from holding office. The ruling applies only to Colorado's March 5th Republican primary, but it could affect Trump's status in the state for the November 5th general election. Non-partisan US election forecasters view Colorado as safely Democratic, meaning that President Joe Biden will likely carry the state regardless of Trump's fate there. Trump vowed to appeal the ruling to the US Supreme Court, and the Colorado court said it would delay the effect of its decision until at least the 4th of January 2024 to allow for an appeal.
And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you very much for watching. Good night and take care.